Hello one and all, welcome to Seeing Through Glass. Welcome to my final video of the year. We are seeing things out in style because Ferrari have pulled through with maybe the ultimate Christmas present. They have lent me this very yellow F8 Spider for a few days during the holidays. Let's face it, 2020 has been a weird year. I don't really need to say that. I think we all know what I'm talking about, but strangely I have had a few things to celebrate over the last 12 months. Finally moved into STG HQ, added a few cars to the garage, but most importantly, this channel surpassed 500,000 subscribers, which is all down to you guys. So I'm massively grateful for the support you've given me and given Seeing Through Glass during this, well, just strange old difficult year. I always try and take a bit of time off during this sort of Christmas, New Year period to kind of rest, relax, recharge, and kind of get re-inspired, because over a 12-month period, you know, the creativity sometimes drains out of you when you're making videos every week. And I think it's important to step back, get a bit of perspective, and yeah, find new things to be excited about so you can launch into the new year, make better content than ever. I'm not going to talk too much about my plans for 2021 because let's face it, making plans during a global pandemic kind of pointless as we have now learned, but there are some exciting things in the pipeline. So I think the next video on this channel will probably be going out mid-January. So all I want to say is if you are celebrating Christmas, I hope you have an amazing time, and wherever you are in the world, whatever you are allowed to do, I hope you find a way to celebrate New Year's Eve so we can all wave goodbye to 2020 and hopefully move on with our lives. Anyway, let's talk about the car. Now, strangely, Ferrari do have a habit of lending me cars around kind of big occasions on this channel. Not that my Christmas holiday is a big occasion, but last year they lent me a yellow 488 Pista for my 30th birthday. And actually, weirdly, I kind of finished up Drive the World in a yellow 488 Pista, not through Ferrari themselves, but through an amazing customer. And really, the F8 is a Pista, just kind of rebodied. More on that in a second, but clearly there's something about me and yellow Pistas. Is this a sign of things to come in 2021? No, frankly, it's not, unless I win the lottery. But I do seem to spend a lot of time around these cars, and I do tend to really like them. But yes, let's readdress the point that I just made, because the F8, it's a confusing car. You shouldn't think of this as a replacement for the 488. It is fundamentally a facelift for the 488. You're getting performance, you know, aerodynamics, engine, other sort of tweaks from the Pista, with then the livability, the functionality of the GT. So it's not really anything new apart from the styling. It's all quite familiar, and that can be seen in a good way, in a bad way. But yeah, it's complicated. By giving it a new name, I think maybe Ferrari confused a few people. Looks-wise, from the front, I think it's mega. Like this, I'm like, wow. From the side, I even see elements of Enzo, but from the rear, I think it's a disaster. I really don't like the back, especially of the Spider, because the kind of roof line's a little bit more aggressive and a little more chopped off. It just looks wide and fugly, and those 4 tail lights to kind of bring it in line with 812 Superfast and the outgoing Lusso and stuff. I just, So I always try and walk up to the car from the front, or at least from the side. But let's face it, the intriguing or the interesting part about this car is how it's going to perform, because a sort of sanitized or a more usable Pista kind of sounds great, but in reality, is it going to hit the mark? Let's find out. The problem with parking in the woods to film your intro. Who did that? Who was it? Now, one slightly interesting thing being lent an F8 Spider for Christmas is the temperatures aren't exactly ideal. The dash is reading 6 degrees right now, which means it's going to be chilly when I do this, but let's face it, you can't be lent a convertible Ferrari and not put the roof down. Does the car look better with the roof off? I think it might. Okay, let's go. I've actually seen some people describe it as too quick, but what supercar these days isn't too quick? 710 horsepower coming out of that twin-turbo V8 behind me. It's ludicrous, and all of that power going to the rear wheels. But you know, it's all about respect. You have got to respect these modern-day Ferraris, because they'll literally kill you in a second if you don't. You've really got to modulate the power with the throttle, especially on a sort of slightly damp and cold day like today. If you just prod the accelerator pedal a tiny bit too hard, you're going into a tree or a hedge. It's going to happen. But as long as you treat it with respect, oh my God, the way you can gather speed is absolutely nuts. It is still such an exhilarating experience, but oh, sorry, I just had to concentrate there for a second. You definitely do have to concentrate. But you may have noticed, I would say, it's one of the cars that has been most affected by the EU's latest kind of, you know, regulations. I know I bang on about OPF filters in pretty much every single video, but it's so quiet, this car. Even with the roof down, I'm sometimes struggling to hear the exhaust and the engine above the kind of wind noise, which is ridiculous. Now, the 488 generation Ferrari, mid-engine V8 Ferraris always had a bit of a bad rep for sounding a bit ploddy. You know, it's not the most visceral or exhilarating sounding engine that Ferrari have ever produced, but I've always been a fan. It still sounds good, it's just different. However, now it's very muted, and that does take away somewhat from the Ferrari experience. But what this car has gained is unbelievable livability. I may have made that word up for this video, but it's an important word, because I would say before this car, the leaders in supercars that you could use day in, day out were McLaren. The 720S is essentially the Rolls Royce of the supercar. It's comfy, you get great visibility, it's spacious. Okay, not that reliable, if at all, but when it's working, it's great. Ferraris, whilst they have been improving, were still very much supercars. This, because of the kind of livability, there we go, using that word again, factors that they've brought into essentially the 488 Pista, you've now got this unbelievable performance. Sorry, I suddenly decided to turn right there. Or with then unbelievable comfort. I mean, how I'm going this fast down this quite bumpy road, feeling like I'm riding on a hovering carpet, I just don't know. I mean, the bumpy road mode is unbelievable, and it means you can really focus on driving and driving enjoyment. You're not constantly worried about a bump in front of you unsettling the car and sending you veering off into a ditch. It's so good, and despite the lack of sound, it's still a very engaging driving experience. I think because of the speed, I'm honest, you just realise that you're going so fast and you're so dialed in, you've got to concentrate, and therefore it's all encompassing. You get out the other end and you're like, oh my God, that was an experience. I said at the beginning of the video that this is fundamentally a 488 Pista, and I'm a big fan of the Pista, so it's not really a surprise that I've been enjoying this car. But actually it is a bit of a surprise, because ever since the F8 launched, I've just been a bit like, I think I've even been quite rude about it on my podcast Behind the Glass. I just didn't really get the point. But now I've spent some time in it, I'm kind of understanding it a bit more. I said as much in the Roma video. I think this car signifies a new era, a new dawn for Ferrari, where they're having to kind of slightly re-identify themselves and pitch themselves to a new customer base. When Porsche are out there making the 992 Turbo S like a Bentley, and McLaren are doing the 720S like a Rolls Royce, but both are ludicrously fast, Ferrari had to kind of basically do the same thing for the Pista, which was their top level mid-engined V8 supercar. They had to make it more comfortable and more usable, and here it is. Now, is this the most exciting, best mid-engine V8 Ferrari I've ever driven? No. And does the interior now feel quite old? Yes, because it hasn't really changed since the 458. So there are things which are still a little bit off, but as a package it looks bang up to date, and the performance is just mind-boggling. And I don't just mean straight line performance, because yes, I agree with some people who've said it's too fast, in the sense that you're never really tapping into the performance. You're using about 40% of it on the road, even when you think you're going flat out. But the difference between race and sport, and then even way, it's night and day. You're getting a whole load of different cars in one, but then also looking like it's kind of brand new and just futuristic, and you can tell I'm excited, which must mean it's a Ferrari, because I only feel the ability to talk this freely and quickly and passionately when there's a prancing horse on the car that I'm stood in front. So that's not gone, and if anything, I see it as this kind of light at the end of the tunnel of this disastrous year we've had, where I've kind of been sitting at home, staring on my computer going, oh, not really excited by many modern new Ferraris anymore. But no, I am. I really am. Would I have this over a Pista? Probably not. I think I'd still go Pista, because I think it's a bit cooler. I don't know why. I like raw, hardcore cars. Would I have this over a 488? Yes. Would I have a Speciale over all of them? Probably not. Would I have a Challenge Stradale over all of them? Yes, definitely. You know, there's a certain amount of it which I just like, hardcore, lightweight, stripped out cars. But as a thing that sits in the modern lineup of modern day supercars, Ferrari kind of needed to do this. And in fact, they already need to be focusing on what's next, because as I mentioned, there are some areas where it just feels a little bit old now. But I'm so grateful to them for lending me this car for Christmas. And what an amazing way to see out this quite disastrous year. But I say disastrous, it hasn't been that disastrous because of all of your amazing support. The comments you've left me, the feedback, the suggestion for videos, the creativity, all of it has helped me get through this year, because there have definitely been times during lockdown, etc., where I've sat there going, well, what the hell am I going to film this week? But it's a DM from you guys or a throwback or something that's gone, that's what I can do. And we've done it all together. So I'm massively grateful. And as I mentioned, if you're going to be celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I hope you find a way to celebrate New Year's Eve so that we can blast into 2021 all being positive and excited for what's ahead. I'm going to go off and enjoy another few days with this absolutely very bright, very insane yellow F8 Spider. If you have enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and make sure you stay subscribed, because I'm going to be trying my best to make 2021 the best year on scene through glass that there's ever been. Adios for now.